today's presentation. My name is JoJo.
And I'm Kyle.
And we are the founders of Altered States Wellness. We are a wellness franchise. We have been in this industry for about 8 years. We'll share a little bit more about that journey. And really, the goal of today is to share with you what you need to know before you open a business in 2026. So, we're going to dive into some of the mistakes that we made when we first opened wellness businesses, some of the trends that we're seeing kind of coming, and where you should be thinking about if you are looking to open a wellness business. And a few of our frameworks that we've learned along the way. So this is meant to be really educational and informational for those of you who are interested in looking into the wellness industry, whether you already have a business idea or if you just have an interest in wellness and curious what that business might possibly look like for you. So yeah, I'd love to see in the chat for those that are interested in a business in wellness. What's kind of piqued your interest in wellness? What made you show up here today? It can be anything. Looks like a couple of people on Facebook are sharing that interest in the opportunity, looking for added income, just exploring the possibility, looking forward to lessons learned. Yep, we'll be sharing a lot of that. Weight loss and HRT. Interesting. Licensed massage therapists have a private practice. Perfect. Yes. So all things in the wellness, holistic alternative health, care for health and well-being, plant-based food eatery. Awesome.
Love it.
Perfect. Love it. Yes. Well, you are all in the right place here today. We'll be diving in to tips and ideas that should be beneficial for you. I'm hopeful that that can be. So stay with us till the end. We are going to open it up for live Q&A. So while we aren't experts on everything, we have been in this industry for quite a long time, and we've helped many people open businesses. So we love to give back in that way. So we will open it up and answer any questions that you have towards the end.
Yeah, I always like to say we don't know everything, but we know what not to do. And we've learned those lessons the hard way. I think this can kind of pivot into a little bit of our background, right? Is it the next slide?
Yeah. Before we dive into that, just a reminder to shut off those distractions. You showed up here today to really focus on what brought you here, which was a reason. And it's always easier to zone in if you are able to shut down the Outlook, shut down the computer. Well, don't shut down the computer if you're listening in there, but shut down the notifications and really give it your all today. And we can stay present here with each other. Yeah, let's run through our agenda real quick and then we'll give our background here. So our agenda today is we're going to talk a little bit about the wellness boom. So we're all here because of this wellness boom, but we're going to share a little insight as to where the wellness boom came from and where it's headed. And then we're going to dive into common mistakes. So these are all mistakes that we made entering into this industry that we want to share with you, not to make them, so you can learn from us today. And then we're going to share some insights on how to be successful. We've seen a ton of people entering into the wellness market, and there are ways to do it that will set you up for more long-term success. So we will dive into that. Then we're going to dive into some of the traits of an owner. We are a franchise and we work with a lot of different owners. And over the years, we've seen the traits that really make people successful. So we want to share some of those with you, as I think that that can be helpful as you go into business. We're going to talk about going solo versus going with a franchise. We'll share a little bit of insight there. And then lastly, we will open it up for some Q&A. Can everybody see my screen here? Just making sure the presentation is up. Yes, perfect. Good to go. Thanks. Awesome. All right. Dave, you want to dive into who we are?
Yeah, so I hate talking about myself, but I think it's important to kind of understand where we come from, right? JoJo and I both have been in some form of fashion, selling
Try to turn it down, but
ops for
let me just
combined
turn all
close
the
to
down.
30 years. For us, it's been real important to, and with the growth of our franchise model, is that we were former franchise owners. So we understand the good, we understand the bad. We using that knowledge, we founded Altered States Wellness. And we still to this day own and operate our very own wellness studio in Capel, Texas, um, right outside of right outside of Dallas. Um, and then as we went through, we've gone through and then got used the franchise model to help scale. Increase our reach, increase the availability of customers to the services that we offer. If you guys want, you can dig into the website and see what and just see what we have. So yeah, it's very interesting. We do a lot of biohacking things, supplements, all things that kind of align well together. And we're going to talk about a lot of that stuff too here today. So that's who we are. We're very grateful that you guys hopped on and listening to us. Like I said, we don't know everything, but we've made the mistakes already, and these were very costly mistakes. We've hired that $20,000 brand manager who's going to do it all and say a lot. So we've learned those mistakes, and that's a big passion for us to try to get you guys to help avoid doing that, because it can be crippling in the beginning, especially.
Absolutely. All right, so let's get started here talking about the wellness boom in general. So you guys showed up today, you're seeing it, you're seeing the interest in wellness, you're seeing people are taking more of that personal investment into their health and longevity. People are moving more towards holistic solutions rather than the pharmacological solutions. So we're seeing that shift. I think everybody on this call sees that. But it's always nice to put data to what you're seeing. So, the global wellness economy reached about 6.8 trillion in 2024, and it's projected to grow at roughly 7.6% annually through 2029. So that's some incredible growth that we're expecting to see here. Some other really interesting statistics is North America is one of the fastest growing wellness markets. According to Circana, the data shows that U.S. health and wellness consumers hold about 1.3 trillion in buying power. So I don't know about you, but if you can get part of that 1.3 trillion, I think we'll be doing good here. And I think there's plenty to go around for everyone on this call
That's
here.
where we're going. Yeah, I'm trying to get our little slice of that.
The NIQ did a study on consumers, and they found that consumers are willing to spend more than $100 a month on their health, which that's a good amount of money. When we look at what people spend on a monthly budget basis, that means that people are really willing to invest in their health. So that is a fantastic sign. And then there was another study by McKinsey that 82% of consumers consider wellness a top priority. So we are seeing it. I love it when the data and the studies back it up, what you're seeing in the market. But, Kyle and I have been doing this for 8 years. We started off more on the product side and moved towards the services side. And in both areas, all we've seen is the demand just grow over the years. So yeah, anything you want to add there?
Yeah, you see a lot of this, the shifting of North America, right? I'm sure there's a lot of practitioners on here, but this, kind of the Western medicine, model has kind of taken a hit recently. So it's just a big area of opportunity. People want to feel better, but we're just adapting a lot of these things through science or through other kind of cultural methods. And people are a lot more open to it, because the days of popping pills, it's just not sustainable. And we're seeing a lot of that in kind of, even legislatively and things like that. There's a big movement into some of that. So what was a lot, with some things that we were, like I'll be honest, float therapy is a big driver for us. 5 years ago, not nearly as much. We did a lot more education plays, but it has gotten a lot more into your average person's, I guess, bubble, into their atmosphere now. So you're seeing a lot of it. It's not considered this snake oil thing as well. And people, and honestly, people could just be desperate and willing to try anything else. So you see a lot of that, and it does manifest in the numbers.
Awesome. Now, we see the demand, and strong demand is fantastic, but it doesn't always guarantee that you're going to have a strong business. We've seen tons of people jump on trends, jump on
Right.
things where there's a strong demand, but if you don't do it in the right way, it's not a guarantee for success, right? So that's why it's so important as you open a wellness business to, have a strong roadmap to, know what to watch out for. So that kind of leads us to,
Yeah, this is not Field of Dreams.
yeah.
If you build it, they will not come. Yes, it's great to put your logo up and stuff, but there's certain ways to position yourself, especially in the beginning, on what to market, who to market, what to market, and really align your whole business operations to differentiate yourself. And that's really what we specialize in.
Absolutely. Yes. So let's dive into common mistakes. So most of these are mistakes we've made personally,
Yeah.
or we've seen a lot of business owners make, and you can learn a lot from them. So when you're looking at going into the wellness business, there's so many avenues. You've got products, you've got services, but one of the biggest things that we've seen when we've spoken to wellness businesses that have struggled to make ends meet. A lot of them, it comes down to really high payroll. So they may be having some great revenue come in, but they're paying teams of 15 to 20 providers. So they're a provider focused model where it's all nurses or estheticians, massage therapists, they're paying doctors. And that really, really puts a strain on your operating expenses when there's so much payroll. Now, I'm not against providers.
No.
I think having providers is fantastic, but when it's provider dependent, when your model depends on only providers, that's when you really, really have to look at what are those operating costs going to be, and are you going to be able to cover them for the long term? When you have 10, 15 people that you're depending on to show up, there's high turnover.
Competition in the market.
Yeah, the average massage therapist rate is not what they're high, as they should be. It's a
Yeah.
fantastic skill, but when you think about having a solely provider business, you just have to be careful. So we are primarily a provider list business because of this reason. Now, some of our studios have one massage therapist on staff, or one provider, but it's not a solely provider business. And that is something we definitely recommend that you consider as you look at creating your business.
Or whether it be, you can lead with that. There's other ways to offset that as well, right? It's about margins, and payroll. Rent and payroll are probably the two biggest expenses. If you can mitigate a lot of that, you're just putting yourself ahead of the game. Plus, you're also dealing, and we had this at our Capel store, you're dealing with additional personalities. A machine is always going to be there. Sometimes you can give the greatest massage in the world, but if you don't show up for that day, you get what I'm saying.
Right. Absolutely. Yes. All right, so mistake number two, and this is the one that we made ourselves, is pigeonholing the business into one or two services. So I see this so commonly, and I get it because you want to be the expert, right? You want to be the expert in sauna, or you want to be the expert in IVs. So you go in as, I'm going to be the IV business, and I'm JoJo and Kyle's IV company, and that's what I put on the door. And I think that it's great to focus on one area. You got to be great at one thing. But I can tell you from our experience, when we first entered the wellness market, we owned CBD franchises, and on the door it had CBD, and it was only CBD. And when we started trying to pivot to other things, it became extremely difficult because people knew us as the CBD people. They didn't know us
Right.
as other things. And so when you go all in and bet on just one service, you really aren't allowing yourself to evolve with the market. The market does change, things do change, laws change. And so you never want to get stuck in just one thing. So if you create a business that says sauna, sauna something, and that's what you focus on. Well, what happens when you want to add red light in? Are people actually going to be coming to you looking for red light when it says sauna on the door? I'm not saying it's not possible, and you certainly can add things, but you're kind of limiting your ability to pivot and change, right?
Right. Yeah. You don't want to get pigeonholed, especially in a wellness business or biohacking where technology is the name of the game, right? And as things move, we carefully constructed our brand for this exact reason. Excuse me, because let's say hyperbaric becomes the next big thing, and we have 10,000 customers of that same profile. We want to be able to market to them and be able to take a hold of that. Very similar processes. It's a providerless model, things to that nature. So you want to be able to pivot and be the leader in each individual space. You want to be a leader in wellness, not just in, like Jojo said, sauna or cold plunge. And then, on the unfortunate thing, you're then now branded as that. And now everyone has the same like services, but offer a ton of other things. For us, we get a ton of customers who are at other places and they just wanted to do more. And they got great service there, but it was just like, okay, well, now I can go and I can do sauna, cold plunge, but you also have float and red light and all these things added on as well. It gives them a bigger, it gives them a wider depth and you yourself have more tools then to help the customer or client per se, right? And that's really at the end of the day, that's what pushes the needle. Results. We're in a results-based business. So someone comes in, spends, let's say, $300 on an unlimited membership, and in 90 days they didn't see anything. Where do you go with them, right? So you really have to, obviously pitch that consistency, but at the same time, you have to deliver results to these people. So if you only have so many tools in your toolbox, it really limits yourself.
Yes. So learn from us on this one.
Yeah, for
If
sure.
you are, and it's okay to start your business with one or two services, but I wouldn't brand yourself that way. Be careful with the branding for sure. All right. This is another common mistake we see: under investing in marketing or investing in the wrong kind. I can't tell you how many people we work with that we tell us they've tried this and that and so many different marketing things, and it's done nothing for them.
Right.
So this can be a really hard one because marketing these days is not cheap. It can get costly. So making sure that you are spending money on the absolute right things, and that you are spending money on marketing. So I've seen a lot of people open the doors of their business and hoping that they just people will just walk in and people will just come in. And the reality is that that's more than likely not the case. You have to get in front of, you have to market people. There's a lot of other competition coming into this space right now. So you have to get in front of people and show them what makes you different, right? So you need to have a marketing strategy and have a plan to invest in those first few months. But it's really important to have people that have also done this, right? That you can rely on to say, hey, did this work? Does this marketing work? Because we spent our first 2 years in business. I can't tell you how much money we probably wasted
Throwing
on
money at
marketing.
everything.
I mean,
Yeah.
we tried it all. So we have a long list of things that we tried that did not work. But it took us time to really figure out what worked. So finding those mentors that you can rely on, that have gone before you, that can tell you what does work, is really important.
And they know the right questions to ask. That's the other thing. How are we going about doing this? What does success look like to them? What does success look like to you, right? The impressions, the this, that, and the other. You get in front of this slick marketing guy and it all sounds fantastic and they want 20 grand. Well, think of how many services or memberships you have to sell just to cover that, right? So really take the time. I get emotional or I get excited about it because I think it's that one thing, but you really have to slow down and say, okay, well, how is this going to happen? And we're here for that. We get it. We've seen it.
Absolutely. All right. And then number 4 is relying solely on memberships. Now, our businesses sell memberships and they do a fantastic job at that. But we would be lying if we said there's not a bit of membership fatigue in the market. You know, people have a membership for everything. Netflix, they've got, you know, their gym membership, their food membership. They've got so many subscriptions that some people are a little more hesitant to sign up for a membership. So if all you have is a membership model, you are missing out on a lot of opportunity. Things like packages, things like product, things like experiences, one-off services. We have to have all of these supporting revenue streams, because gone are the days where your business can just rely on memberships. When I talk to some of our competitors, you know, it's like they are chasing after 150 members, and then once they hit them, they're just clinging on to these members, hoping that they don't lose them, or they're just replacing members every month. And when that's all you have to offer, it becomes a really tough, cutthroat business, right?
Yeah, and you're essentially running a call center as opposed to getting into what you really wanted to do, which was helping people and showing results, things like that. And also keep in mind, we sell time, right? If there's an opportunity cost to that, and members are great, but each time that that's utilized, yes, you're using an upfront discount for long-term gains for sure. But on some of those prime time things, it's nice to be able to hit those much higher margin things. So always a formula to it. There's a way to go about it, and that's really kind of our advice on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So look for those other revenue streams. We can always we've come up with many ideas in that area. All right. So everything we shared today comes from lessons we've learned the hard way. So we've gone through the motions, we've tested things, we've tried things. And that's where our learning lessons have evolved from. Now we've done a lot of things that have worked wildly well, and what we attribute our success to. We added in one service and then another service, and then we tested out this and we tested out that, and it was a lot of trial and error. But when we really felt that our concept had met that demand, people were coming in, we were hitting max capacity of 100% on the weekends, that's when we knew we had done something right. So now I want to share with you some of those things. All right, you want to talk about this one? This one's here.
Yeah, so the real thing with us, everybody wants to, for us, one thing we noticed is it was very tough for us to track. You have somebody come in, they do your services once, right? And you're giving them the wellness pitch and this consistency pitch, and they sign up, right? And then they've gone on for 3 months, and they're like, and you're having this conversation, hopefully, as they're going in, right? Something that we teach, right? Of being more consultative in this approach, and you're checking in with them. And they, yeah, I kind of feel better, or I da 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 da. They don't, being able to put data to that is really key so that they can actually see that. That's a big thing for us. Once they started to see the numbers increase, decrease, depending on what numbers you're looking to do, even simple things like you could help track their sleep. They wear something to track their sleep score and actually show them that. It's great, right? You putting it in front of them. It's a fantastic closing tool, and it gets people to buy in. That's a big thing. The other thing is personalization, right? The more things you have, you are like hitting on this all the time, but you are the expert. And I don't say like you're the expert like Gary Breck or whatever the case may be, but you know more than the customer, right? That's really how we train everybody to get to. And as you develop and as you get more reps in this game, you do become, right? I've ran over 1,000 floats in my day, so I would consider myself pretty expert. But I didn't start off that way, right? So you have to know a little bit more, and a lot of that, excuse me, comes through my personal use of it, right? So as you go through, you can help and give people tips, advice, guides as they get more advanced to try more things to be able to really help drive that number and help drive sales and their results. So it's all that 2-for-1 thing, right?
Yeah, there's almost so much in this wellness space, and I'm a sucker for it. I try it all. I want to do it all. I want to get this supplement. I want to go try this service. And there's times when I walk into a place and it's like, hey, here's the service, go do it. And I'm like, okay, maybe that worked, maybe it didn't. And I think that a lot of people out in the market right now are just guessing. They're just trying things. They're like, okay, I saw that I should be doing a sauna and cold plunge on an Instagram reel, and now I'm here. Now I'm doing this every week. Is it even working? So really being able to understand a person's body. So like the tool we use, it's a nervous system tracker, and it shares about the person's nervous system, where they're at. And from that data, we're actually able to tell them, hey, you shouldn't be doing the cold plunge.
Sure.
You are in like crazy fight or flight mode right now. So we need to get you in the float tank for a few weeks. Let's get your body calmer before we implement the cold plunge. So we're actually able to tailor what they need, rather than them just walking into a place and us just throwing them into a service. So this data has been really valuable. We can also track and show their progress, like Kyle said. It's sometimes with wellness, it can be a feelings business, right?
Right.
So it's, yeah, I feel good.
Yeah, on a
But
scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel? You
Right.
know, it's like
Right.
it's all subjective, right?
So having data to show them, hey, this is actually progress that you're seeing, it makes a huge difference. And we really see a lot of wellness moving this way. So, people look for ways you can incorporate some sort of data, some more personalization. Like everybody's bodies is not the same. So, everybody probably shouldn't be getting the exact same protocol, right? So something to
And
consider.
data, especially for the younger generation, which we found the younger generation are early adopters. They love to go in this, but is it our membership base? Not necessarily, right? At 44, I recover at half speed than I did when I was at 25. But I was super interested in these things. But especially the younger generation, they really like the data, the Whoop strap, the this, the that, all those things. You know, their Aura rings, all that. So it's real big for, especially for the younger one. And wellness goes across all ages, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so look for ways to add that data, and then just add a little more personalization, even if it's just a consultation before you tell them what services they should do. People value that, and they'll see more results. All right, Kyle laughed when we when I showed him this presentation. He said, "Why the heck do you have a picture of Disney on here?" He thought that maybe I forgot to remove the stock photo here.
I thought it was a Russian photo. I was like,
There is a reason here. So we are seeing this huge push towards experiential retail in general. I think after COVID, people are looking now more than ever to find spaces to connect, to find community, to go experience things. They don't want to go in and just get a transaction. They don't want to feel like they're walking into a doctor's office. They don't want a boring shopping experience. Otherwise, they could just do that online, right? So I like to put Disney on here because they are the ultimate experience, right? Imagine if you walked into Disney and there was no music on, no one in costumes, and all they did was just hand you a map and said, hey, go find your ride. It would be the same
wouldn't have the magic.
experience, right? So the reason it's so magical is because you feel like you're being transformed when you walk in. You have the music. It's this, crazy different world that we don't typically live in. You're smelling things, you're hearing things, you're tasting things. It's touching on all of those senses. And I think when we think about wellness, that's really something that we have found success in.
Right.
We try to craft an entire experience so that people will leave feeling something. So when they walk in, they don't feel like they're touching, they're walking into a scary waiting room where they're, feel like they're about to see a doctor. They see a vibrant space. We have the calming music. We offer them, drinks where they're, already engaging these senses and hopefully calming that nervous system. So thinking about ways to create an experience within your facility, if it is a storefront, is so valuable. And we see it more and more. How can you engage a community there? How can you touch on all of the senses from what they see, hear, taste, and smell throughout your experience? And really think about the experience from the minute they walk in to the minute they leave. What are they going to leave feeling? Like, and first determine what's that feeling you want them to feel, and then determine, okay, how can I make sure they feel that way from everything they do, from even their bathroom experience, even what it looks like in the hallway. Is it bright lights that are really overwhelming, or is it dimmed, calm lights, right? So just everything that they see and hear and feel within the business, it's so important to that overall experience, right?
Yeah, your talk tracks, how you move people from room to room, things like that. It's all the details matter.
Yeah, absolutely. So experiential wellness, so much more than just a come and go. type of experience.
Yep.
And you can tell when you go to the places that really focus on the experience versus the places that are really transactional. It's night and day. So if you haven't yet, I always tell people, go to all your competitors, go to a bunch of wellness businesses and see what you like and see what you don't like. You'll be surprised by some of the little things that really make a huge difference.
And it's the difference between, people driving past two or three of our competitors and to our Capel store, right?
Yeah.
It's just these little things that you wouldn't even think of, but it really makes a difference.
For sure. Yeah.
And the next key to success is going to be an education-led model. And this is real critical, like I said before, kind of being that expert. And I'm not talking about like dumping stats on them, but there's a way to kind of work that in, right? You want to be up with the trends and being able to communicate that in a digestible manner. I'm, I don't have a degree in cellular biology or anything like that, but I understand the mechanisms and the levers that are being pulled to elicit this response to give these results. That's a big thing. So being able to communicate that digestible is very key because we're having wellness for the masses here, right? And yes, there might be some guy who's listened to every Andrew Huberman podcast, but at the same time, like they don't understand heat shock proteins or theta brainwaves or the like. So really try to find a way and lead your talk tracks and your scripting towards some things that are a lot more relatable. I always equate things to very simple, like an infrared sauna is like a microwave versus an oven type thing, right? It's just relatable and things that people can understand as opposed to talking about different wavelengths and 432 and that whole nine. It kind of goes over because they can't relate.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, you have to educate, and especially around consistency. Like we all know, if you're on this call, you probably understand the value of being consistent with services and why you'll see the event benefits after 10 times. But it takes educating customers on that, So slowing down, taking time, providing more of that consultative approach is so valuable. All right, this one is huge for us. It's systems that remove the guesswork. So Kyle and I, we first launched a couple float tanks and a sauna and cold plunge, and it was running beautifully. And then we started realizing, oh wow, that water doesn't look as great as it used to.
Right.
Oh, the sauna is not heating like it used to. What's going on with this cold plunge? We realized, oh wow, there's a lot of maintenance that goes into some of these things. And it took us a long time to finally put systems in place. So we finally spent an entire year creating standard operating procedures, literally line by line. This is exactly how you treat the water every single night. This is exactly what you need to do to change the filter. This is exactly what you need to do to just clean the store in general. All those little things that, you do naturally, but we put a process to it. And now today, it is so much easier to manage and run our business. Our employees follow those SOPs like a charm. In fact, they do a better job than we did when we were running it, and they're able to follow the process. So once you create those systems, life becomes so much easier, and you're not living on this reactive, trying to react to issues all the time. You're able to keep up with the business. So it's one of my biggest things I tell people: take the time. I promise it's worth it to create SOPs. Now, it took us a very long time and a lot of learning lessons. So, it's definitely something that you have to kind of learn in trial and error, but having systems in place so that you're not constantly guessing is huge. It's really big for the business.
And it's the difference between, when we say, purchasing we do franchises, right? So it's the biggest thing is, systems are the difference between you running a business and you basically buying a job, right? Will the business crumble if you have to leave for 3 days? No. And how that happens is there's a multitude, but it starts at the systems. Then it goes from leadership, management, things of that nature, people, but it starts at the system. Can I take this plug and play and it can work anywhere? That's the goal. And as you guys grow and as you guys open your business, I'm not saying it's something that has to be done like right away, but you should definitely be cognizant of that. Like that was a big struggle for me, because I would just go and get it done, right? And it just turned out that I was the only one that could do that. So we had to retrace everything over a 7-year period. And it got to be a lot. It was very tedious, and but now I look at it a lot different. Just making that mental shift initially is very key, and that some newbies to this game don't really do.
Yeah, trust me, you don't want a business that has to rely on you being there 24/7. It will be miserable. So, having these systems in place that you can leave for a week and everything won't burn down is fantastic. All right, so those were our 4 keys to success. From here, we just love to share some of the traits of owners. We've seen people, we've consulted many business owners over the years and watched them grow. And the ones that thrive tend to have a lot of similar traits. And I think it's something that it's just great to focus on and go hone in on, do I have these traits and how can I embody these traits more? Because I think it's really important. Entrepreneurship is not easy, and it's not always for everyone, but it's absolutely, I truly believe everybody's capable of it. You just have to, hone in and really develop those areas that you might need to. Um, the first one is resilient. I think when I think about small business ownership and our ownership over the past 8 years, the biggest things for us is we always persevered. We always pushed through. There were lots of highs and there was lots of lows. And but that ability to just stay resilient is huge, right? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and you have to understand growth in a business doesn't go like this. It grows,
Mhm.
the curve is a lot more, it's not linear, it's a lot more snakes, ups and downs and stuff like that. And obviously track it and be cognizant of it. But this day to day, oh my God, like we're in the middle of a 5-day snowstorm here. Yeah, of course, I'm pulling my hair out or whatever I have left. But at the same time, there's, we've seen this before, and we know we're just going to do everything that we can do so that when it does open up, we're ready to roll for it, right? That's
Yeah.
a big thing.
Yeah. The next is people centered. You can't go into a wellness business and not make the people your top priority. We've always kept our customers number one, and that's why we've had customers that literally continue to come back in 8 years later. We always make them the top priority, even if it's, something that we don't typically do. We make it happen. We kind of provide that unreasonable hospitality to them to ensure that people are the focus of what we're doing, because that's why we're all here, I think, is because we want to give back and we want to help people feel better. You most likely have a story of your own, just like we do, and you want to share that with more people so more people can experience health and wellness,
They
right?
can relate and all that. Yeah. And as you build it, it's the relationships that keep people coming back. Yes, it's the services, yes, it's the results, but the relationships. Sometimes it's just listening to somebody talk about whatever for 10 minutes before their service. That's what keeps people coming back.
For sure. Yeah. The next is being curious. We are always learning. I know that you probably have heard this before, but always learning, like always being willing to pivot. Sometimes what we've been doing for 2 years has changed, and we need to be curious about why it's not working and maybe do something different. So stay curious, stay, questioning your systems and processes in place, because you do need to evolve over time. This next one is my absolute favorite.
Yeah.
It's one that I learned at my Microsoft days, but it's the growth mindset. So, you can either look at failure as a failure, or you can look at it as an opportunity to grow. And I can't tell you how much in my life I have had things that didn't go my way, or things that happened to me that being able to look at them as an opportunity to grow and learn from has truly got me where I am today. And there every day in our business, something pops up. There's
Yeah.
something, right? And
Yeah.
and looking at it as, okay, I'm gonna see what went wrong there and see how I can make it sure it doesn't happen again. And find the gain in it, right? So
Yeah, that was a big thing for me. Something would go wrong, or a customer or whatever. And now it went from being, oh my gosh, and totally derail my day, to this is an area of opportunity this is an opportunity for me to show why I'm good at this,
yeah.
why I'm in this position, why we've been so successful for 8 years. That's a big thing for me. It's like, okay, cool. It was just that simple mindset shift. And it sounds simple, but it's not. But you build confidence as you go through it, and it gets easier, certainly. But just that initial shift of, oh, well, that wasn't my problem, and to,
Yeah.
well, yeah, we're all in this. That's my logo on the door, and that pivots a lot towards ownership mentality. But
Mhm.
like, if it happens in your store, it is your problem. I know it might have been an employee, or it might have been this, or might have been there, something outside of your control. Even with the franchise, with our franchisees now, they have my logo on the door. So if it's a problem there, it's my problem. And I take ownership of that to get that done, right? We're not deflecting. We're saying, yes, that was on me. Because, and I find ways where I could have, and that really pivots in towards leadership of like, you didn't know that, that's on me. Let's go ahead and rectify that so that that never happens again. And then if it continues to happen, then maybe we make adjustments accordingly. But just that initial of like, no, this is my responsibility. We'll get that taken care of, put resources there and get better from it.
So tell us in the chat, which one of these do you think you embody the most? Resilient, people-centered, curious, growth mindset, or ownership mentality? I know you have one or two, or maybe even all of these, but tell us which one you think represents you the most. I see curious, growth. I
Growth
like it.
mindset. Yeah, that's
Yes.
probably the biggest one.
Resilient, ownership mentality, people-centered, curious. Yes. First four, I love it. Growth mindset, resilience. Yeah. So lean into those. Stay curious. Focus on that growth mindset. Because I know sometimes when you get into the hustle and bustle of opening your business, that it can be easy to drop some of those things that you are naturally so good at. So don't let yourself forget those things. And these things obviously come natural to you. So sometimes I'll put a little post-it note of things near my computer that I want to remember, like keep that growth mindset, keep that people centered. I love it.
I love that curious. The curiosity thing, I think, is
Mhm.
is probably underrated. You see it on a lot of, like, we were in the sales game for a while, and I was hiring salespeople and stuff. And curiosity was definitely a huge marker of long-term success, at least in sales and stuff like that. It's really interesting to see that. So it's good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. This is one of our favorite quotes. You don't build a business, you build people, and then people build the business. So really focusing on who you surround yourself with in your business is huge, and making sure that they have these traits as well can be really key to growing a successful business. So something to think about. Now, this is one of the most common questions we get. We do a lot of consulting for people opening businesses on their own. And of course, we own a franchise. So a lot of people will ask us, what's the difference? Like, should I go solo? Should I do this with a franchise? So we're going to talk a little bit about the pros and cons here. So going solo. So opening a business from the ground up by yourself without a lot of, support or without any brand recognition does allow you to have full creative control, right? So you get to create the logo, you get to create the design, you get to choose how it looks, and you got to come up with all that on your own, which for some people can be overwhelming, or other people that's totally their thing. So you do have the complete independence of decision making, right? You don't have to go to anyone else and get approvals or say, hey, should I do this? But you can build exactly what you envision. And then of course there's no potential franchise fees or things like that. So now on the flip side, you have a much steeper learning curve, and we've seen this time and time again when people go into a business on their own. It takes them a long time. I mean, it happened with us. We did it on our own. And yeah, we eventually got there. We got there, but it took us a long time. We wasted a lot of money on the wrong marketing. We hired the wrong people. We had the wrong systems in place because we didn't have our SOPs created. So, we lost a lot of money in the beginning, and it was a very, very slow ramp up, and a lot of trial and error. So, it took us longer than I think it would have taken us to hit profitability if somebody had handed us the roadmap. So, the cons are, every decision falls on you. You don't get to go to somebody and say, hey, I'm running into this issue. Have you ran into this before?
Right.
How can I solve this problem? Right. It's all on you. And then there's obviously no built-in systems. There's no brand awareness because you're a brand new brand. And you don't have that support, which to me is the biggest thing in entrepreneurship is being able to have people to rely on. I think one of my favorite, well, we'll talk about that here in the next one. Um, so franchise pros is you have the proven business model, right? So you get handed a roadmap. Somebody, like when you come on and work with us, we're going to hand you, hey, here's our exact model that it took us years and years to create and craft and refine, and here it is. Here's all of the SOPs that we created, so you don't have to figure them out. You can just hand them to your staff on day one. So you get handed all of that, which is so much. I can't tell you how valuable that would be.
Yeah, it's 7 years of our life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So in turn, you have a much faster ramp up, right? So it doesn't take you as long to hit where you want to go, hit that profitability, because you have a process that you can follow, right? You do have some brand recognition, right? If there's other stores that are doing this and they have this logo, people are already trusting the brand. You already have that consumer trust, and that goes a long way right now, especially right now in these markets. And then you have the training and support. The support is huge, and the community. When we joined, we were a part of a franchise before we created this franchise. And one of my favorite things about that franchise was the community. I mean, we had a group chat with I had like 6 other franchise in that group chat. And I mean, it was so empowering to be like, hey guys, how are y'all sales today? What are y'all seeing? Oh, I just tried this and it worked really well. Are y'all having a tough day? I'm having a tough day, because entrepreneurship can be lonely.
Yes.
It can be really tough. But when you have other people that are doing the exact same thing as you and you can lean on them, it just makes every day better and easier, and you can learn from them. They can say, hey, I was struggling with that, but then I did this. And it's huge. It's invaluable, the community that you can get from that, right? Now, on the flip side, you are going to, like I said, have less flexibility. A lot of franchises like ours, we have some standards. Now we allow for some flexibility on things,
I'd say
but
we're one of the more flexible franchises
yes,
in
definitely.
this game. Yeah.
Definitely. But there, at the end of the day, there are standards,
Sure.
that
Yeah.
that we have to uphold to keep the brand, a high quality brand. So there are things like that. And then there's an upfront fee, because you're paying for that roadmap, you're paying for those SOPs, and then you're paying for that ongoing support with royalties. So, when you're deciding between solo and franchise, really the big question is, are you willing to take a much longer ramp up period, make a lot of mistakes, possibly lose some money, or would you rather, use somebody else's roadmaps, use somebody that has gone before you to step into this? In my mind, I'm obviously maybe biased, but franchise just makes so much sense, to, not have to go through that trial and error period on your own. Yeah. Yeah. So, if you may have got on this call not even thinking of franchise in general, but if you are slightly thinking about it now, we would absolutely love to chat with you about what our specific wellness concept does look like. If you have an interest in wellness, we are a multimodality model, really built for that long-term demand. So we have multiple service offerings. We've got products, we've got experiences, lots of different revenue streams that we can share more about with you. But we've designed our concept around data. So we have data and tracking tools, personalizations, and guided protocols to really personalize our offerings to customers. We're extremely experience driven. So we really focus on the experience. And that's really what sets us apart. Every time we have a customer come in our doors, they're like, wow, the experience here is totally different than anywhere else. So that's what we focus on. We really built our model to scale with systems, SOPs, and really clear operating playbooks. So when we signed up with our franchise, we got a 2-page manual and they said, good luck. We knew we weren't going to do that. So we have a 200-page manual that goes and coincides with an online training. You get a one-on-one with us, the founders, every single week.
Right.
We still meet with our every single franchisee to this day. So we are extremely invested in your success and extremely hands-on. We do have a balanced revenue mix beyond just membership. So we obviously focus very much on memberships, but that's not all we focus on. And yeah, it's led by founders who are former franchisees ourselves. So we understand the challenges that you go through. We still own a business ourselves. We're still trying and testing everything at our business before we launch it to the rest of the franchise. So if this sounds like something that you are interested in just learning more about, if you're just a little curious, we'd love to set up an introductory call with you. I am going to put a link to that in the chat here. But I'd also love to open it up for some Q&A in the meantime. So while I grab that, go ahead and put your questions in the chat. Can be on anything. And we'll answer some of these. I think there were some prior questions up here. So let me scroll back through the chat here.
David had one on the testing before, after. You can, David, you could do it before and then after. We do it a little differently. We want to create a baseline and then figure out where someone else's baseline is, like doing it right before or right afterwards, especially with, you're talking different frequencies, different this, it can make, that reading is going to be way high. So we want to create new baselines for people. So having them be kind of, stripped of any, not crazy caffeinated. Maybe they didn't just come off of the street and their nervous system is through the roof. We want to see, we want to track, like, where are you sitting at your baseline more, if that makes sense. But no, it's a good question. I mean, you can do it. It's going to show real highs, real lows.
Good question. Let's see here. We had some more questions here. Sorry, we're moving through screens. What is our most selling product or service? What would you say?
It depends on the time of year. We're about 50-50 of floats and sauna cold plunge. But as the people float a lot more, down at, people aren't loving jumping into 93.5 degree water when it's 103 outside. But year over year, it's still float therapy. But a lot of that has to do with a lot of the early, just our, we focused a lot more on that earlier. But it's also our differentiator.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd also say, like, yeah, some of our experiences, our group parties, date nights, things like that have been really big revenue streams.
Yeah, those are also those are also high revenue generating dollars. So like dollars per time. The date nights, experiences, group parties and stuff are huge.
Yeah. Can you run this business and keep a W-2 job? Great question. So when Kyle and I first opened our first franchise location, we were both still working W-2 jobs, and I highly recommend that. I don't recommend that you necessarily make the jump right away. There is a ramp up period with that first year of business. And while, we've seen some of our locations hit that ramp up real fast, some of them take a little more time. And that's totally normal. First of all, it's a brand new business. But yeah, keep that W-2 job. And that's one of the great things about this model and keeping a lot of the providers low is you have a really low staff to manage. So we're talking 1 to 2, 3 people at the most on at a time. So you can typically manage that business really well while keeping your full-time job. And that's something that we work with you to really understand, hey, what does your career look like? What is your bandwidth? Do you need a stronger GM to take more off of your plate? But yeah, you can absolutely do both, and we do recommend that.
Yeah, and especially early on in the process, right? You're looking for your lease, and that, you don't need 10 hours a day to do that, right? And you can schedule your tours and your meetings and stuff like that after hours, and then throughout the build out process, you're kind of just checking in, develop a cadence to a meeting, just use it like almost like essentially running a business, right? We have, I meet with the construction guys on Thursday afternoons and boom, 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 boom. So it's not necessary, but you're also talking, I didn't leave my job until we had 3 stores open and going. And at that point, it made sense for me to do that because we could, because we had the time and we had the income from it.
Yeah, great question. Toyin asks, so are you still keeping your own business and brand or using the franchise brand? So if you go with the franchise route, like if you joined Altered States franchise, our franchise, you would take on our brand. So you would get access to our logo, our store's design. So you would be taking on and becoming part of our brand and getting access to our brand rights, which is a lot of benefits to that. Yeah. As someone also offering marketing services to improve, can you help offer some insights? Wondering what worked and what didn't. Oh, Megan, I probably have a whole call to
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I think marketing has definitely evolved a lot over the years. So there was times when things didn't work that might be working more now. So yeah, I mean, I think in general, what would you say?
I mean, as far as market is, a lot of things changed, and it depends on the market per se too, right? The days of running, some crazy loss leader of 50% off, your first service, like everybody's doing that. How do you differentiate your space? How do you differentiate yourself in the space? How do you stand out? There's, I don't know if we're giving too much here, but
No.
we found founder based trust and education has done real well for us because it's not some, you know, good looking but not too good looking girl in gym clothes, but not scantily clad, standing in front of this beautiful sauna with some 50% off coupon, and it's a race to the bottom. So for us, it's a lot different. And you find ourselves attracting the wrong customer, right? If somebody's coming in who's just discount shopping, it's hard to get them to bite on a $350 unlimited membership, right? So it's really kind of looking at what differentiates yourself and leading with, we lead a lot with, you can check you can see our strategy, really just go on our Instagram and see it, but it's a lot of facts, stuff like that. We're doing a campaign. It's not bro science, it's real science. That's a big one for us. So a lot of things like that.
Yeah, I think content works well for us. We're focusing on a lot of things that are transformation focused, not discount focused. Print ads have not done as well for us in the past few years. Although some markets, I will say it's still worth doing in. But yeah, there's a lot of different things. It's usually like a case by case basis. But yeah, marketing is a beast, and it's one that can be so helpful, but also so harmful. So you just have to be so careful with it, because I understand, like, when you have a specific budget and you're banking on something working, it's so hard when it doesn't work. So that's what we're here for. All right. Are we available outside of Texas? We sure
Yes.
are. Yes, we are. We are open in most states, not all of them, but reach out to us if you're interested and we can confirm for you if that territory is available. Do you start the business with a full stack of offerings, or can you start with just a few? Great question, David. So, with our model, we do recommend that you start with a full stack. Now, where we start with is typically it might just be like one or two of that equipment rather than like two or three, right? So like some of our locations will have like two fire and ice rooms, sauna cold plunges, and two float rooms where but they have a room with to grow into that third float room. Sure. Potentially, like as the demand grows. So we do like to look at the square footage and try to have this space to grow into. But you don't necessarily have to have equipment in every room right away, right? We want you to be able to grow with the business.
But at the same token, take full advantage of every square foot within your space so that it is revenue generating, right? In one of our stores, we've gotten to the point now to where we had, and we work that into the build out too. We make sure that we utilize all the allowances so that money gets back. It's all a process, and a lot of it's case by case basis. And now at our one store, we're going to add another sauna cold plunge in there probably, but there's already a shower, there's already this, so we're ready to go in there.
Yeah, great questions. Yeah, I'm putting the link in the chat here where you can book an intro call with us. We are happy to chat with you about your business or share more about ours with you. And you can learn more. Somebody asked what services we offer. Do you want to share?
Yeah, so our big driver is float therapy. So that's the 1,100 pounds of Epsom salt with the 250 gallons of water. We have these massive tanks that we use that eliminates that initial claustrophobic thing to it. And then we have sauna, cold plunge, we have infrared light, we have PEMF, compression boots, we do brain taps. What else? We have a salt cave with a generator in there for salt for that Texas that cedar fever down here in Texas. So we have a lot of different things, and a lot of it is, you know, and then obviously the products stack with a lot of that. It just allows us to really cover with all that. Generally, what do they say in a lot of this? I've heard like you want to have an ability to do hot, cold, and light, right? That was kind of the thing because you can really pivot, you know, and then we vetted out a ton of machines. It all depends on like certain machines can do certain things and deliver certain results. So that's a big thing.
Absolutely. Yes. Awesome. Any other questions here? Did I miss anything?
Good turnout, guys.
What kind of products do you sell? Good question. We've got we have our own branded vitamin and supplement line. We work with a functional wellness doctor out of Texas, and all of the products are derived from US naturally grown fruits and vegetables, nothing synthetic, but they're incredible products. So we've got like a liquid multivitamin, we've got your fulvic, your electrolytes, a lot of things that magnesiums, things that people need. So they pair very well with our services. Those that are able to sell it legally, we do offer a CBD line, and then we do have some skincare line through a brand here as well. So perfect. Yes. All right. If you want to learn more, if you want to just chat about opening a wellness business, book a call with us. We would absolutely love to chat with you on what business ownership might look like for you. And we were really excited to share all.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in,
today.
guys. Great questions. Good stuff.
Right. Thanks, everyone. Have a fantastic afternoon, and we will talk soon.